I learned a couple of things about love and luck living in Las Vegas. For example, I learned for $50, a transsexual Filipino hooker will give you something called an Alabama Hot Pocket, which I can assure you is not a delicacy from the deep south that you may be thinking of. I lived in Las Vegas for a year with my wife, Nicole. We were dating back then, and this is back when Las Vegas was booming, not like now after the city was ravaged by the economy. Today, I can only imagine what you could get for $50 and a liberated view of sexually transmitted diseases. Nicole was going to UNLV, which is the only institution of higher education where golf course management is considered a hard science. And I worked at an Italian restaurant that was popular with retired mobsters. They thought it was funny that a Chinese guy was working in an Italian restaurant. I would remind them that Marco Polo brought pasta back from China, and they would remind me that I could go fuck myself. And because Nicole was going to grad school and I was a waiter, we were broke. Our couch was 2 milk crates in the living room, and our bed were 2 mattresses on the floor. So when you're poor in Las Vegas, it means that you don't ever go to the Strip, and you don't gamble, and you have to shop at the poor people grocery store where the produce aisle smells like a urinary tract infection. It kind of does. But just living in Vegas is stressful because you're consciously aware of all these physical dangers like getting robbed. But unconsciously, something's happening to your psyche just by living there. Now, none of this seemed to be a problem for my friend Bill, who was a professional blackjack player. Bill had a blackjack team that was making lots of money. And, he had this angle on blackjack, it was better than card counting, and he didn't need to know a lot of math. He didn't have to jump in and out of decks, he didn't have to change his bet around, which are things that casinos are always looking for. But he did still have to make these strange plays. Like you might have a 12 and the dealer showing a 10 and you wouldn't take a hit. And when you're betting $2,000 a hand on blackjack, that looks pretty weird. And that's why Bill wanted me to join his blackjack team. You see, casinos are incredibly racist. Chinese culture has all of these weird superstitions about good luck. So casinos are convinced that all Asian players are completely insane. Bill figured that all I needed to do to look like a degenerate Chinese gambler was to stop shaving and wear a members-only jacket. But I wasn't really interested in playing blackjack until one day when Nicole came home with a brand new Xbox for me that I knew she couldn't afford. And I made her return it. She was humiliated, and I felt awful. And I decided I needed to make more money, so I convinced her to let me work with Bill. And after a few weeks of playing blackjack, I started making money. I mean, a lot of money. So much money that when I was alone in the apartment, I would make money piles and just motorboat the fuck out of it. And overnight, Las Vegas wasn't scary anymore. It was fun. We'd go out to fancy restaurants and buy $600 bottles of wine, and we had VIP access, and I had all these fancy clothes. I bought myself an Xbox, And I started working until 4 a.m. every night, and putting in 80-hour weeks, and always sleeping until noon. And for the rare, brief moments when I'd actually get to see Nicole, I was constantly getting called away to Paris, or the Gold Coast, or the Stratosphere, or some other faraway location that was really just a casino. I wanted Nicole to be a part of the fun, so I started taking her on shopping sprees to Macy's. But she'd just go to the bargain rack and she wouldn't buy anything. And then I told her I'd pay all the bills, but she got a job at Victoria's Secret so she could pay her half of the rent. She kept telling me that she was lonely, so I got her a cat. One night I was at the MGM and I was just crushing this dealer, and I was up over $40,000 in less than 3 hours. And Nicole's calling me on the cell phone, but you can't talk on a cell phone at a blackjack table, so I waited until we were all done, and then I called her back. Hey girl, I called you 10 times. Why haven't you answered my call? I'm sorry, girl. I've been at a table. But good news, I'm up $40,000. You were supposed to be home hours ago. You promised. We haven't seen each other in 3 days. What are you thinking? I tried to explain my good luck. She hung up. And, I knew that she was really angry, but because I lack basic survival instincts, I didn't just go home. Instead, I had to meet up with the rest of the team so we could chop up the winnings. So I start driving around to kill some time, and as I'm driving, I see the Fort Apache Casino. Now, I've never heard of the place before, and it's in a strip mall, but I decide I'll pull over and see if they have any blackjack tables. And there's not much action going on in the parking lot, but there are a couple of really fancy cars with nice rims and paint jobs, so I'm thinking to myself, hey, maybe this place takes good action. And when I walk in the door, not 10 feet away from me is a group of very tough-looking young men. Now, there's no security guards, no employees, just me and these 9 guys staring me down. Now, I'm not gonna say that they were Latino gangsters. I'll just say that they were wearing plaid and hairnets. Now, I had just come directly from the MGM, so I'm carrying about $70,000 in cash and chips on me, and I'm dressed really nicely, and I'm wearing fancy shoes, so, I'm a little overdressed for the occasion, which is awkward. And, one guy just walks up to me and he says, hey, are you the guy? There is no good answer to this question. Like if I say yes, then the only logical follow-up question is, do you have the stuff? That's worse. I don't have any stuff, but if I say no, then I'm just some guy, as in we killed some guy. That was the scariest question that was ever asked of me until recently when I was at a truck stop men's room and a trucker came up to the urinal next to me and said, so, what you working with over there? And while what happens at the truck stop men's room stays at the truck stop's men's room, I can tell you that night at the Fort Apache Casino, I ran for the door like a bitch. And I ran all the way home to Nicole, and I didn't wait to meet up with the team and give them their money, which was a risky play because, Nicole was really, really angry with me, and maybe I would have been better off getting curb jobbed by the hoodlums. And I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail about the fight I had with Nicole when I got home. I was raised to keep private matters private. I can tell you that I fell down the stairs of our first floor apartment. Nicole explained to me forcefully that I had changed, that I had lost all perspective, and what was wrong. And the fight was so bad, and Nicole was making so much sense that I knew that something had changed for me that night. I didn't want to hurt Nicole anymore. And more importantly, I didn't want Nicole to hurt me anymore. There was one moment I sometimes remember during that fight when Nicole grabbed this brand new wristwatch I had bought and she threw it at my head all the way from across the room, just narrowly missing my face. And it reminds me of 2 things that I've learned. One, it is far better to be lucky at love than lucky at cards. And 2, over time, women's aim improves.